Here's how to write to Firebase in Angular Fire. Welcome back to the channel. Last time we got into setting up the project, now it's time to actually do the cool stuff. So my plan is to go ahead and make a blog posting website, and of course the first thing to do in a blog posting website is to make your first post, which we're going to do. I press submit, and it works, and you're going to do that by the end of this. That's the plan. So first things first, we're just going to go ahead and part ways with our awesome program Hello World, as I'm sure you guys do remember. Most complicated thing you could ever possibly do. So we're actually going to go ahead and part ways with that component. Now what we're going to do, we're going to cd back into the project. It's going to be Angular FireMan. And then what we're going to do is we're going to generate two components. One for our main page, which will hold everything. And then we're going to generate one for specifically the input. So it's going to be ng generate component. We're just going to go with home. And then we're going to do an ng generate component for our input. So it's going to be blog dash input. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set it up so that our routing will go through our home tab, which will also set it up so that if we go to our domain /home, that will work. So first things first, we're going to head on over to our const routes. And in between the square brackets, what we're going to do is we're going to set it up so that it automatically goes to /home, and so that /home automatically goes to our home input. So right in between the brackets, what you're going to do, press enter, add some space, and you're going to enter curly brackets path, same thing, to nothing. And then essentially you're just going to reroute that to, or redirect it to /home. And then you're going to add a path match to full, because we want this to be exactly when there is no anything after. We just automatically want to take it to /home. Now, with our path for /home, what we're going to do is we're going to send that directly to our component of home. So it's going to be a home component, automatically import. Don't forget to do the colon. I always forget to do that. All right, so we're going to do ng serve. So now we're going to see home works, and if we go to here, it's going to automatically reroute us to /home, which obviously makes life easier for the end user. When you go to the URL, you might want to go to a specific page. It'll automatically take you there, which is awesome. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go into our home, HTML, see home works. It's cool, but we're also going to add in app blog input. So essentially this is going to add the input directly into the home component HTML. And so now if we go back on over, blog input shows up. Cool. So now that we have the blog input in there, now we actually want it to be useful. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and actually get rid of that. And we're going to go ahead and create a div with a class of wrapper. And we're going to add a few things to this. So first things first, we're going to add a label just to go ahead and say what this is. And we're just going to call this blog input, just so we know what is right here. And then we're going to have a div directly below it. And we're going to have three inputs. We're going to have an input with a type of text. And then we're going to have an input with a type of text area. And then we're going to have one final input, which is going to be the submit button. So it's going to have a type of submit. Now what we're going to do, just to go ahead and start figuring out which one is which, we're going to go ahead and add in a placeholder text on each of these. So we're going to have a placeholder of title. And then we're going to add in another placeholder of body. And then submit will already say submit. So now if I go ahead and I head on over here, I have three inputs. I have my title, body, and a type of submit. Now obviously these aren't attached to anything, so currently they're not actually going to do anything. So now we have to actually start making these do things. And what we're going to do is we're going to head on over to the TypeScript. This is where all the magic's going to happen. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to create a function with a name of send to Firebase, because at the end of this, that's what we will be doing. So a name of send to Firebase, and we're going to want to have two parts of this. we want to collect inputs, and then we want to send inputs. And so first things first, we want to go ahead and add in an ng modal to our inputs so that we can actually access them relatively easily. So first thing, we want to actually have something for them to go to. So we're going to add in a title. We'll just go ahead and give it a type of any, and then a body also with a type of any. And then what we're going to do, just to go ahead and start collecting this, we're going to have a constant with a title any, which will be equal to this dot title. And then again, const body with a type of any will equal this dot body. And then as simple as that, that is all we have to do in terms of collecting. Now we actually have to prepare the inputs for this. So what we're going to do, and this is going to cause a little bit of a headache for us. So we're going to add in an ng modal equals, we're going to say title. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add in ng equals body. And we're going to remember to add an ng modal. And so obviously it does not like this. Why is that? Because we have to go ahead and do one more import. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add in our app module. We're going to be looking for a little thing, the forms module. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to add in another little spot down here. We're going to do an import of forms module. And then we're going to go ahead and add that on here, forms module, to our imports. And essentially what this is going to do is this is going to add all of Angular's import modularity and forms, which is just basically going to make it easier for TypeScript to see what is in the HTML. Basically, it's going to link it all together smoothly for the inputs. So now if I go here, everything looks good except I used a capital B instead of a lowercase b. And now just to go ahead and make sure that this works, we're going to console.log title, and then we're going to console.log body. And in order to make that actually do something, we're going to go ahead and head over to the input. We're going to do on click, we're going to run send to Firebase. And now if I head right back on over here, open up my inspector, go to the console, if I say Angular FireMan, and I say use sub, yes, use sub, that's what we're going with. Bam, works. So now that we actually have our information, now we have to prepare it to send over to Firebase, which this is where things are going to get a little bit complicated. So I'm going to go ahead and explain in Firebase itself. So as you see, I did already set this up a little bit. So what you're going to do is once you get to your product view, you're going to go over to build and you're going to see Firestore database. And when you click on it, it's going to ask you to set it up. Go ahead and click it up and select production mode. This is going to have a little bit of altercation that you have to do, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to fix that. So you're going to go ahead and click production view, and then you're going to head over to the rules. And you're going to go ahead and get rid of everything after write. It's going to have a specific date. It gives you a 30-day window to essentially anyone can read and write to this. We're going to go ahead and just get rid of that, because we're going to add in rules and stuff later, so we're not worried about that. So you're going to go ahead and make sure that it matches this rules version 2, or once you change it, it'll be version 2. So it'll start off on version 1. Service Cloud Firestore, match database, documents, match documents, allow read and write. This is basically just leaving it open. Anyone can read and write. That works. And then you're going to head back over to data, and you're going to create a collection, and you're going to call this blogs, and it's going to want you to go ahead and create one of these. You don't have to, it just wants you to create something. Don't worry about that, put whatever you want in there. But to demonstrate, I went ahead and I put a blog, and then I added in 2 fields, one being a body and a title. And so now, basically what we're going to do is we're going to tell our program that when I press submit, I want it to take the information, I want it to go to the blogs collection, create a document with the name of the title that we just put in, and then add in a body and title field to the document. And then every time we go in and create, it'll go ahead and add in another document. Just like this, we have 2. You should subscribe, by the way. More future content coming up. Alright, so now that we're back here, now we actually have to make this do something. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to tell Firebase, hey, I want you to go ahead and send this. Now that I pressed the submit button, I want you to send everything that I just did. So the first thing is first, we want to do a const of blog with a type of blog. It's going to equal title, comma, body. This is essentially everything that's going to be going in. Now, obviously, there is no type of blog yet because we have to go ahead and do a exported interface. Exported interface. So we're going to do an export, not expect, export an interface with a name of blog, because that's what we are exporting, is the blog. We're going to add in a title with a type of any, and then a body also with a type of any. And make sure you are adding in semicolons instead of commas. And now what we want to do is we want to tell Firebase, hey, this is coming your way, take it. So we're going to do a this.firestore, and there is nothing there yet, but we're going to go ahead and do this and then show what we have to import for this to work, just so that this makes a little more sense. We want to go to a collection, and we're going to call this blogs. And then we want to create a document with this dot title. So that's going to make it so that the document is named the same thing as the title. Now, of course, we can change this later if we want, specific things, but just for the sake of this, title it is. And then we want to dot set inside of the document. We just want to go ahead and set blog. So essentially this is going to take the blog and it's going to set that information inside of this document with a name of title inside of a collection. And now to handle the Firestore error, now we have to go back to our app module and import some more Angular Fire Angular Fire module from Angular/Fire/compat. And then you're going to want another one, import Angular Firestore, or Firestore module, Angular Firestore module from Angular/Fire/compat/Firestore. Alright, so now we have to go ahead and add in a few more things. So we're going to add in an Angular Fire module. And then we have to add in something to initialize the app so that we can actually write to the Firebase. So it's going to be, and this is going to make things very unhappy when I type this. So it's going to be Angular Fire module dot initialize app environment.firebase. Obviously, Firestore is not actually imported. And what we need to do here is now... Oh man, I have to do a lot more editing on this than I would like to do. Private Firestore with a type of Angular Firestore. Bam. Now, because we went ahead and did all of our imports, theoretically, this should work. So if I go ahead in here and I say Angular FireMan 2, I think you should like and subscribe. Submit. We console logged it. Now if I head back on over here, we did it. Boom, bam, simple.